So just another quick update. I was uploading quite regularly on here until I went to London the other week. But yeah, this is the TARDIS that went to London, which is now just sort of parked. But yeah, I don't want to sell it right away because that's if I do sell it. It feels kind of sentimental now, and also it's just nice to have around. And then this is the put on hold one, basically, that I was doing before that. So this is the Troughton version of the refit, Brahowski refit box, if you like. But yeah, little look at the doors. So there's the back doors. Just as an update to the original video I did where I was showing you the two porches. But yeah, back doors, no little doorknobs yet, but they do open outwards and relatively far, so that's, that's not bad. And inwards a little bit, which is cool. But yeah, that's the back. This is the front. Obviously they catch on the little clover leaf stopper things. And also, just for the sake of argument, here is a little, not much of an argument actually, here's a little a taster of what it could look like with its door sign on. So this is like an abandoned door sign that was going on this box, but I ended up remaking it, so could well end up on here if it's the right look I'm going for when I come round to finishing it. Yeah. It's looking pretty smooth. It could be flicked, this video, actually. I don't really know how. Might be that I've done the camera wrong, in which case it's flipped. But yeah, that's where they're at, and they're kind of parked at the minute. I do have two commissions that have just come in, so they will be taking priority over this one, which is just something I was doing really in between things. But yeah, a couple of site updates. First of all, I changed the product pages for the Brahowski Mark II and the Mark III. So it's something I've been kind of thinking about, but I wasn't sure how to, and I could, but yeah, it was something I was kind of thinking about. Anyway, I've changed it to the Brahowski, so that is the real deal, the only true Brahowski. That is the Brahowski box, that is what it is. This, and the Jon Pertwee era one, are now going to be called the Brahowski 66 refit, and then the Brahowski 71 refit for the Pertwee one, which basically covers the big changes. So this is a refit of that, although it kind of is and it isn't. It has elements of that, but not enough that it feels like the same box. So I want to kind of move away from the idea that it's the same box as much, because there's always been this well, as long as I've been making TARDISes and learning about them, it's been the altered Brokaki or the Brokaki refit. But it isn't just an altered Brokaki. It's the Celestial Toymaker porches. They make up, I don't know, what, 60-70% of the box, if not more. No, probably about that, 65-70% of the box. So I couldn't call it the Celestial Toymaker box. I didn't want to call it the War Machines box because that's a bit specific. But yeah, 66 was when they refitted it, so it's the 66 refit, and then 71 is when they... So it only appears in Spearhead from Space in Season 7, 1970. And then it's just exactly as it looked the production block before that. So it still looks like it did in the War Games. So it's got the old base, the old roof. It looks tatty. It looks a bit crap. But it's then not seen again. And when it does come back for Terror of the Autons, there is a photo of it in the circus yard from I'm sorry, it's got a text. And read the text even though... But yeah, even though I'm in the middle of something. No, there is a photo of it in the circus, and you see the Doctor, the Brig, Joe, and the Master. Which legend has it John Pertwee wasn't too happy about the fact that Delgado is front and centre because it was a Radio Times cover. There are other photos from the same shoot. I think one where the Doctor is front and centre, but ultimately it was for the Delgado Master was like the big get. But yeah, the TARDIS appears there without the base. So it's this version, Troughton box without the base. So like just like that, no base. And it is still has the 60s roof, this roof. And then according to research and just kind of like going off of what I can see, the next time it appears is in Terror of the Autons itself, in the opening scene, or the first scene in the unit lab. The Doctor comes out of there, the smoke comes out of it, he's doing whatever he's doing in there. The roof is wider at that point. It appears wider. It appears to cover more of the corner posts, more of the width, and the base is now a close fitting, so cut basically to the size of the box rather than this sort of wider one, and it's the taller base. At a glance, that's what it looks like. In reality, it's on wheels with like a piece of card around the outside or whatever, probably a piece of plywood. But to appearances, it's the taller base now, and evidently a new roof. Is it the same roof with a few bits of wood either side? Probably. I can't see them building a brand new one. I mean, I can see them building a brand new one, but was it necessary? Probably not. I mean, maybe the other one was rotten. I don't know. But because I think the perceived wisdom, again, I'm going off stuff I used to read on TARDIS builders, is that because the box no longer was a square, this new roof would facilitate, well, not that, but the new roof that it got would facilitate that and make it look slightly less odd shape-wise. And that was the second refit it got. So it's a refit of the 66 refit rather than a refit of the Brokowski, sorry. Still old habits. I never say it out loud, and when I do it should be Brokowski or Brohotsky, but it's as they've called it Brokowski or But anyway. So the website will now, from now on, have that. There are 2 other refits, which I could have included, but then you would be up to 4 different versions of this, and it would get confusing, and also I would then have to keep in stock a variant of each one, and it would just be a bit, difficult and tedious at that point. And then I would have to start explaining it to people, I think, so it's easier just to do it this way. But the other variants are a kind of 1968 to 69 kind of period. I don't know when exactly it changed, but at some point the box lost its quadrant here at the front, and this side was brought forward to meet the gap. Now you can see this in the War Games, notably, especially with the shot from this angle, looking up at the end when they try to escape Gallifrey. on Planet of the Time Lords to keep it temporally accurate. They try to escape the... Or is it the World War One zone? Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is brought forward, and you see this, the flat piece, which isn't on the model yet, but the flat piece, actually I'll get it and then I'll get to demonstrate it. The flat piece, which is normally sat so far back with the quadrant in, is brought more or less forward to meet to this flat edge there, to meet that. So that's the 68 refit. Other than that, only other changes to it are the new foam panel after the Seeds of Death, which it gets at the end of Seeds of Death in episode 6, and then it continues all the way through till the box is chucked in a skip in after the Seeds of Doom. But the next refit is around the time of the Curse of Peladon in season 9, was the next time we see it, following Colony in Space. So Terror of the Autons to Colony in Space. It's not in the Demons, it's not in Day of the Daleks, it's in Curse of Peladon quite prominently at the beginning. So from that point on, the box, unless I'm misremembering, it might be that this is later they get these editions, I don't think it is. The box from that point on the sides gets, so this side gets a strip along the bottom, and then most notably, this side, again if this is flipped, this is the right hand side of the box, so that's the front and that's the right, gets a big block there, and they kind of fill the bottom of the panel in, so this panel becomes slightly shorter. Not as much as I'm doing with my thumb, but it does get shorter, or not as tall. And then this new block gets put on. That's the same depth as the flat pieces. So you've got the flats like that, and then this new block that fills that joins the two together. That's the only other change. Again, superficial changes like new locks being put on. The lamp being different every week because they have lost the bit, or they've put a different lamp on, or whatever they've got. Things like that, superficial. But in terms of the structure, I'm also missing another key point of that secondary fit. So that other secondary fit, the Curse of Peladon one. This is the front. So this is the front of the box, and this is the left of the box. So that back left corner, the box loses its, it basically loses its quadrant at the back corner as well, and it's brought in again to fill that gap. So the box, looking down on it from above, the back left corner is like pulled in. So if you can imagine 4 pins with a piece of string, and then you've got, and it's a tight piece of string, like an elastic band or something, and then you pull that top left one down like that and in, and those two bit of elastic will conform to that. So the box becomes not even rectangular anymore, just this weird sort of odd shape. Best look at this would probably be in Planet of the Spiders. There's a lot of stuff carrying on Metropolis 3 when John Pertwee's thrown himself to that. Sorry, Terry Walsh has thrown himself to the ground in John Pertwee's wig, in his costume, and you get a lot of looks at it there. But that look of the back corner being pulled in, it's really strange when you notice it. When you know what you're looking at, it's strange. But that is the model I offer as the 71 refit. So if for some reason you would like a 68/69 refit, or this later edition, which has become part of the entire 71 refit, become part of that design. If you would like the variation, which is the earlier than that version of the Pertwee box, the Terror of the Autons box, if you would like the true Terror of the Autons box, then I can do that. I can also do the I can also do the War Games Season 6 version with the side pulled forward, if that's what you want. You probably wouldn't notice it. You might only notice it but now I've said it, if you can even tell what I'm saying. But yeah, I'm still offering 3 versions. The Brohowski 66 refit, and the 71 refit. I'm still offering those 3 versions, but there are 2 other versions along the way available should you want specifically those. Maybe eventually if I build them I can show you what it is I'm saying, like the difference. And then the only other slight difference I've made, well actually 2, the other one products wise is the 2 Tom Yardley Jones props have been combined into one, because the only difference to the actual model is the little notch above the sign box. There's a little square notch, which is the central divider carrying on up from when it was moulded in for season 18. You know, when they made the box in the first place. It's not present on the earlier box. It only appears in, I think, season 20. So from season 20 onwards, where the 2 Tom Yardley Jones boxes are kind of used interchangeably, whenever you see the little square above the sign box, that is an indication that it's the later box, which has been, it's come from the same mould as the Mark as the first one. It just hasn't had that bit either chiselled off or removed or whatever, but it wasn't there on the first one because it's not really a traditional TARDIS detail. I think it was just like part of the construction of the original that they made the mould out of, and then it was removed for the season 18 one, but not removed for the season 20 one. So since that's the only difference, I am now from now on going to be offering 1 Tom Yardley Jones model, which includes both door signs. So you have the choice of the thicker one or the thinner one from earlier on. The signage sheet already comes with all the variations, so that's fine. But the both sign frames and also both top sign frames, versions of the frame as well. The thicker one from like season 22 kind of look is what I mostly associate with. But again, it was like the season 20 kind of onwards. They had this really thick one, and also the season 18 version, which is the really thin border around the wider sign box. So that's another change of where products are concerned. And lastly, this is the last thing, I've introduced a pay. I had a message of someone last week asking about that he has different TARDIS models already and he's not sure of the scales, and is 1:7 scale bigger than 1:6. Now that would make sense because normally the number 7 is bigger, but because of how scales work, 1:7 is actually smaller than 1:6, because it's a 1/7 of the size of the real thing rather than a 1/6 of the size. But yeah, I've made a quick graphic which I've put on the website. If you go to the top bar of the website, there's a section called Scales. If you click on that, it's just a graphic that shows the 1:5 scale down to the 1:13 scale, with a few others in between, which explains all that. So if you, for whatever reason you don't know, then that will show it. But yeah, a couple of big commissions in the pipeline. One is the sort of Claws of Axos season 8 era Brohowski refit, 71, literally the 71 refit, and then also I've got to build another 1:6 Arwell Jones box. The first one was supposed to be a one-off. Someone else bought one and I can't not, because I need the money. It's not, I'd like to have the luxury of being like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, no, it's not. It's more that it's a lot of work, and I was kind of conscious of how much work went into that first one, and how it's a different kind of work to these things, because it's a lot more crisp, and everything has to be precise in a different way. But yeah, so I've got both of those coming, so I'm going to show the progress of those, which again it'll be a slightly different, more so with the R. Will Jones one, it'll be a slightly different sort of work that you'll be seeing from the work you might have seen from these two being built. So yeah, this is probably the longest video I've done so far, but I think I've explained everything I wanted to explain, and just given a general update. Yeah, so that's the back of the box actually, I've just noticed. Doors up now. But yeah,